So let's kick it right off. How would you describe survival mode?
I would say it's just going with emotion, just kind of on autopilot. You're constantly just going with it. But I also have a survival mode of making sure everybody else is okay before myself. So I've always been in that mode for quite a long time. And when I say quite a long time, I do recall it's a couple of decades. So it's a long
Mhm.
time. So,
I think a lot of us, particularly people who have been through stuff,
mhm.
we often adapt what I call survival identities, and one of them I think is like the fixer and the martyr. We kind of self-abandon in a way that seems like service. And I am so curious to dig into this with you. Welcome to Survival Mode Disrupted, the podcast for those who are done performing, done people pleasing, and done living life on autopilot. I'm your host, Letitia, the Survival Mode Disruptor, and this is where we create disruptive, unapologetic transformations for those who are ready to exit survival mode and reclaim their power. Every episode is your permission slip to burn the rule book, break the cycle, and finally build a life that feels like yours. So let's disrupt everything that's holding you back and start living life on your own terms. This is your trigger warning. This podcast is raw. It is real and it doesn't sugarcoat what it means to survive trauma, abuse, mental health battles, or even the aftermath of living in survival mode for too damn long. What you hear on Survival Mode Disrupted includes unfiltered stories, graphic details, and a vulnerable truth that may trigger some of the audience. Please prioritize your emotional safety. If something feels too heavy, pause, breathe, come back when you're ready or not at all. Your healing is yours to honor. These episodes are based on lived experience, not therapy sessions or clinical advice. Listening does not replace mental health treatment or constitute a coach client relationship. If you're in crisis, please seek immediate help from a licensed professional or contact your local emergency services. This space is built with care, but it's also built for truth and built for disruption. Take what you need, leave the rest, and most of all, trust yourself. If this podcast speaks to your soul, you don't have to do this work alone. Feel free to join our free Facebook community for high achieving women ready to break cycles and heal out loud. Join us at Disrupting Survival Mode on Facebook, or grab the book that started this movement, Exiting Survival Mode, raw step by step guide to help you identify, release, and rebuild from the survival patterns that have been keeping you stuck. Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Survival Mode Disrupted. I am your host, Letitia, the Survival Mode Disruptor, and today we have Christina with us. So, Christina, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello. Thank you again for having me. Your story's pretty inspirational as well. My name is Chris. You can just call me Chris. I'm a mother of three and a grandmother of 10. I'm a career-driven person, but I'm also a survivor. So I'm here to talk about my story.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. So, why don't you tell us your story to and through survival mode?
I think I'll just kind of give a high level of where it started. And then actually, I'll end with describing how I did not realize this and I'm recognizing this. So first it started as a child, obviously. I was abused as a child, sexually abused, and it was through family friends, sons. But what did it was nobody would respond to me. I had parents. I was raised in a family with, brother, sister, mom, dad, but mentally and distant, they were distant. I can basically say that, for example, my father was in the military, so he was out of touch. And my mother, I did not discover this until recently, suffered from bipolar. And she really had bipolar more severe than I ever knew because when I was growing up, it wasn't a thing. They just said, she's just got a little bit, she's whatever. But my parents were distant in a nutshell. And when this abuse was happening, I didn't feel like I had anybody to go to. So I needed that love. I felt that almost attention though from this abuse, if that kind of makes sense. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Somebody's paying attention to me, but I didn't realize it was bad attention. And unfortunately, it kept going through my life through various cycles. It's how I ended up growing up. I had a very problem child, teenager, rebellion years. I became a single mom at 16. I got pregnant at 16, had my child at 17. And I basically went through relationship after relationship after relationship with wanting and needing and just not getting the right person. And it really took me until this summer to realize all along that this was a pattern. Because while I had been through a lot of stuff, I kept repeating the same patterns, if that makes any sense. So fast forward a little bit, and I know this kind of goes in another direction. I end up marrying an abuser. Oh, okay. I thought he loved me. Same thing. I ended up having three, not one, but three bad marriages, all lasting less than a year because, I thought they loved me. It's not until recently, though, over the last 20 years, I've been blessed with an amazing husband. And that's the thing. I have comfort now, but it wasn't till this summer when I finally had an epiphany when I did a meditation retreat. It's been quite interesting because even in this, I can give you another example. I'm a breast cancer survivor. And oh, there's the warrior. Oh, look at her go, So I put on a face all the time. I have a mask. I fought through it. But during this whole time, I had my loving, dearing husband who allowed me to cry on his shoulder. He was always my comfort. He still is. And so I think with him always being that person, I never really sought out treatment or tried to recognize. I just everything I did in my career, in my education, my parenting, my grandparenting, everything, caretaking. I've always been in survivor mode. I'm always trying to take care of somebody else, not myself. But it was a 1 day treatment, 1 day meditation retreat, sorry, apologize, where everything came to light for me just recently. So you're
Thank you.
talking,
Thank you for sharing, and I resonate so heavily with the things that you said here. Um, the attention seeking makes a lot of sense, right? Like, and not being able to reconcile, like, this negative thing is happening to me because I'm getting something that I didn't have. Like, I was molested at 7, and I remember
mm,
processing it that, like, I know this is wrong, but they see me. He sees
mhm,
me, right? And
mhm,
unless people have been through that, it's sometimes difficult to wrap your mind around why someone can almost, I wouldn't say appreciate, but not attach such negative connotations to a negative event because it's actually filling a void.
mhm,
And
mhm.
it's similar to people being raped and then, their bodies reacting as if they are aroused. And it's a like, how could I be aroused when I'm being violated? How could I still want this attention when I'm being abused? Um,
Yes.
it's very similar, and it's very hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. But as you were speaking it, I was like, I get that 100%
Mhm.
because I spent a lot of years seeking attention because I didn't get it from my parents who were also very present but absent emotionally for
Oh,
me.
oh,
Um, so I do understand that. And prior to us starting, or right at the beginning of us starting, we mentioned the survival patterns and survival identities that we pick up.
Mhm.
And I understand how easy it is to continue on with these patterns unless you have an awareness that they are happening, right? Whenever I talk about exiting survival mode, I always say it happens in three phases. In the first phase is awareness. We can change what we
Okay.
cannot see. And
Mhm.
oftentimes we adapt these patterns because that is what we got used to, right? Like you went on to get married, you were in an abusive marriage. You then went on to have other marriages or three or two other marriages that weren't great for you, but that was the norm, right? Like
Mhm.
we get
I always had
addicted.
somebody.
Yes, we get addicted to chaos in a way, and we often won't challenge that unless we know differently. And then you meet your now husband who seems like this spectacular man, who has been able to support you in ways that you needed to be supported. And wow, what a transformation compared to what you've had before. So
Correct.
talk to us a little bit more about the mask that you were wearing through the abuse, through the cancer diagnosis and journey. Like, what did that like for you?
For me, it was I had to be strong for myself, but I have to show everybody I can do this. I don't need help. I'm strong. I'm a warrior. Nothing can get to me. So this mask I have on is I'm a very direct leader, for example. I don't know how to really word it without sounding a little too confusing. I kind of put on a persona. Look at me. I can get through anything. In fact, that's a common theme I hear throughout my career and my personal life is, wow, Chris, you've really been through a lot. Man, if anybody can tackle it, you can. Internally, though, I am just screaming like, you don't realize how tough this really is. But yeah, it's just like going with the flow and showing myself that I can do this. I have to prove myself I'm a good leader. I have to prove that I'm a good mom. But
Mm.
yeah, it's constant.
Yeah. I've talked about recently, coming to the reconciliation that I was driven by negative motivation, right? If anybody had a doubt in me, that was like the fuel that I needed to prove them wrong. And I would overprove them wrong. Like I would blow their minds because how dare they underestimate me? And
I
as you
resonate.
laugh, I could tell you resonated with that because so many of us sit in that space, it's particularly women, right? Because I feel like we have to show our strength, but when we step into masculine energy, that's rejected, right? Like we have to be strong, but in order to be strong, it means that we kind of have to step out of our femininity. And then once we do, well, gosh, okay, boss lady, like, and I was really just talking to somebody just today. I find that term coming from a male the biggest insult in the world,
Mm.
simply because I know it's not coming from a good space. It's coming from a threatening space where they feel intimidated by my leadership. They feel intimidated by my drive. Okay, boss lady.
I resonate so well with that. If you don't mind, I'm going to tell you just another blurb of how I'm actually dealing with this. And this is leading to my career change. And this is what's leading to me to my next chapter. I always call it my second half of the century chapter because I've been around for half a century and I'm ready to just keep going because my breast cancer diagnosis actually came right around my 49th birthday, if that gives you an inkling. So I've been awake and it's finally here. But I have been in a working, and this is dealing with my career. I have been with a narcissist for a supervisor and a director that just really did not support me. I had to report him. I have been ignored at work for the last 3 years. I don't have a voice. despite my position. And I have had to climb the walls, try to get attention. I've done everything I can to resolve this problem that I had. And finally, something just a light bulb went off and said, why am I doing this? If I keep going and trying to make a name for myself, I've already achieved everything, but why am I still doing all this? Why am I putting my body, my mind, my family in danger and fighting for something that's not rewarding anymore? So this year I made a big decision. I need to step away and focus on me. And sure enough, that's my process right now because I've made that decision. I'm no longer going to call on to somebody. I'm never going to go and say, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. Or I'm not going to, and I've done this, cold call my director or cold call one of the senior leaders to say, hey, this isn't getting done. I need to get this project completed. I don't do that anymore. I let them come to me and I just sit back and I try to control the narrative more now than anything. So, with having my career decision that I had taken, I've decided to retire and pursue other things that are completely outside my norm. And I feel so uplifted right now and relieved because I know I'm almost there. So, it has been fantastic journey.
I celebrate that with you because many of us get through life never ever choosing ourselves, right? Like we are
Yes.
fed this conveyor belt of success. We need to focus on doing really well outwardly. Let's
Mm-hmm.
forget what's going on in the inside. You have to be a great mother. You have to be a great employee.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a great wife. You have to be all of these things for all of these people, but you can't put yourself on the list. And if you do, you're selfish and blah, 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 blah. So I celebrate you coming to that point
Thank
where
you.
you're recognizing that, I've been so sacrificial here, clawing
What am I
my
doing?
way out of way, and really I can focus on me and the things that I want to do. And I am one that is very resistant to the conveyor belt, as I call it. We are expected to pack our lives away until we finish being a great employee. And by that time, we're on oxygen and walking with canes. Like, how exciting can that really be?
I like that.
So, to be able to challenge that narrative and recognize that it really isn't for you is such a powerful thing. So, you went on this retreat. You had this aha moment that was, I imagine, life-changing for you.
It
What
was.
has it looked like since then?
It has been an eye opener. I've and keep in mind, I have anxiety, depression, obviously, I mean, and I'm treated now, but it really I taught myself how to shut down the noise and not listen to the chatter that goes in the background. I was actually quiet, didn't speak for over 10 hours. And if anybody knows me, that's a very hard challenge. But they taught me how to get away from the chatter and then how to do my breathing exercises and really focus on my spirituality. I can't even talk, but it just was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Instead of thinking about, oh, wait a minute, I gotta go home and care for my dad. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta do that. Everything just came to quiet. It was like the first time in my life I felt silence. And then things just, I wouldn't say flow, but they did. They began to flow for me. It was almost like, holy cow. Everything I've been doing, no matter what it is, no matter if I have made it, and everybody, of course, here's the other thing. People say, well, things happen for a reason or it's karma. No, I just think it's just been happening because I've continued to be in that mode. So that meditation really taught me a lot. I try to do it frequently. I use apps to kind of help hone me in, and I'm learning to set boundaries. And that was one of my hardest things to do because coincidentally, in all of this, talk about absent parent, I've lost my mother, but I am actually a caregiver for my father now. So it is a challenge because I'm having to tell him, look, I'm here for you, Dad. However, I need to spend X amount of hours on me. And every day, every day, but we're growing. And I'm learning that he's actually listening to me. And I think it's kind of comical because I never listened to him when I was a kid. But but no, it's growing. Gosh, it's really grown. I've been caring for my father for 3 years now. So he's changed. He accepts my boundaries. He knows, don't talk to me till I've had that first cup of coffee. I'm not nice. So setting those boundaries and really opening my eyes and shutting off the noise has been very helpful. So
Hmm.
hope that helps.
And setting boundaries for a lot of people is incredibly hard. I would say I'm a recovering people pleaser, and that is a result of the trauma that I've been through, right? I became a people pleaser because of these situations with my father. And I learned very early on there was a consequence to not making other people happy. And so I spent my life making everybody else happy while I was miserable as hell. And I
Oh, yeah.
remember, yeah, I remember one of my coaches, I've worked with a few coaches at this point. One of my coaches was like, "Well, we're going to learn how to set boundaries." And I remember when she said it, it was almost as if she asked me to go stand on a corner in 6-inch heels because, like, what? You want me to do what? Because I had never set boundaries before. And it was like, it was very uneasy for me. But what I recognize in that process of learning to set boundaries and being able to advocate for my own needs is that I gave myself permission
Hmm.
to be seen instead of shrinking my needs for the benefit of others. And oftentimes we are kind of conditioned to be that way, especially if we're mothers, right? Dare you put yourself first if you have children? Like, what are you thinking? So you've mentioned that you have been taking care of your father for 3 years, and you were taking while dealing with cancer?
As well as, and I know this is kind of a late subject, in 22, I was trying to do almost what I'm doing now, but it's a healthier way. I
Hmm.
tried acupuncture. Okay, so I did that. Something happened during one of my sessions where some memories came up that I did not like. It was almost as if it was like my third session. And all of a sudden, but I wasn't ready to heal back then. I could tell because I didn't handle what I received. And I'm ended up having a widowmaker heart attack at the end of June of 2022 as well. And I ended up, by the bless of God, I'm here today. I had emergency open heart surgery. I had a double bypass on top of all of this. So that too didn't even wake me up. I was a survivor. I can get on that walker and walk. I know what I'm doing. So it kind of shows, even when I was trying to do the acupuncture and the meditation, even 3 years ago, wasn't working. It was this year was when that meditation retreat and the self-awareness and everything came together. So yes, I have dealt with my father even through the death of his wife. So it has been a very interesting second half of my next century, and I'm not done though. I'm gonna totally look different. Yeah.
I think the blessing to meditation is it forces us to be present. And most of us have spent 90% of our lives in the future or in the past. We don't know how to be. Like, we don't know how to be present. We may be present, but we're everywhere else in our minds, occupying spaces that we don't need to be in. And I think that's the beauty of meditation, where it literally opened you up in ways that you hadn't experienced in 50 years. And I coined that to your ability to be present and process.
Right. Yes.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I mean, your story too is fascinating. And I like that you resonate a lot with what I'm saying too, because it is fascinating, this journey I'm on.
Mhm.
So I'm not done, but I'm actually writing a novel or novel, a book. I'm writing a book and I'm seeking other ways to journal and just better ways to heal myself and yeah, be in the present. And you're right on that.
Mhm.
I can't think about like the appointment that's coming up in 2 weeks. I can't, no. Okay, you said the wrong words 2 weeks ago. I sometimes had a habit of thinking about something I said in 1992. And I'm like, okay, please, that's got to go. No, I need to date it up. I need to get all that negativity out of me. It's done. It's over. It's history.
And that brings up
Yeah.
an important point, right? People who have listened to this podcast for an extended period of time have heard me say this. A lot of us don't recognize that we recycle 96% of our thoughts day to day. And if we don't challenge them, if we aren't able to gain the tools to move beyond our thoughts, right? You mentioned 1992. A lot of us are operating and living from that space, right? Like 20, 30 years ago, because we don't know how to challenge our narratives. We don't know how to change our thoughts. And the second step to accident survival mode, I say, is reprogramming. And it's just that being able to challenge those thoughts that have been carried for decades, that have kept us stuck for decades, right? And being able to create new thoughts that are in alignment with what we want out of our lives now and moving forward. Now, before we started recording, I complimented you on your ink, and you
Yes.
said to me, this has been like therapy to you. Talk to me
Yes.
about your ink.
I've always, had a fascination with tattooing. I had a couple of them put on before, but it was always in a hidden spot. But after cancer, I said, you know what? I want people to know, but I don't want the attention from it because I don't like the poor you, oh, I'm so sorry kind of thing. So I started with my forearm and it's, symbolizes breast cancer on it. But when I was having that tattoo session, I was calm. It was almost like I was in my own meditation. The pain didn't hurt. And people say, doesn't that hurt? And I said, no, actually, I felt relief. And it continued on. Now, over the years, I've gotten my entire arm completed. And to hide, not because I'm hiding my scars by any means, I want to show them off. I have a full chest tattoo to cover my mastectomy, to cover my open heart surgery. But again, it's to showcase look, there's scars under here, but I'm here. So here's my ink to display to you this is my strength. And I have discovered in my research that there is actual proof that people that have been traumatized, and I definitely want to dig into this further. People that have been traumatized, it's like a release. It's almost like they're enduring that physical pain to release the emotional pain. And it's another topic I really want to get into. And I'll be honest with you, the attention I'm getting, and again, you think, oh no, she's looking for attention again. But no, in reality, I'm getting positive attention. And when people ask, instead of saying, yeah, look at me, I look cool. In fact, I have a couple young kids call me, oh, you're a badass. No, no, I'm not. I'm not a badass. What I am is I'm here to tell you my story. So when people
Mhm.
start talking to me about my ink, I say, oh, well, I did this because I had breast cancer. Did you do your annual mammogram? So I kind of do it as a, I don't know, an opener, kind of like,
Conversation starter.
there you go. I am a conversation. Thank you. I think I have just discovered that conversational starter. So I am a visual for people that need a visual, and I tell my story. And I'm very proud of my ink. And for the first time in my life, I am me. I'm not dressed up as somebody else. I'm not doing my hair like somebody else. I am my true, authentic self for the first time. Yeah,
And that
fascinating.
in itself is a celebration, right? Like, I
Hmm.
often
Hmm.
talk about how we are often stripped of our authenticity at a very
Yes.
young age to keep people comfortable. I talk about how people struggle with children with leadership skills because, wait a minute, you're too young to have them. And oftentimes we we strip children of their light and their brightness
Hmm.
very early on. And you are a half century gone, and here's saying, I am just stepping into my authenticity. And so many of us are like that. It took me 20 years plus. It probably only happened because I started my own business. And then I gave myself permission to stop shrinking, to stop packing myself away for the comfort of others, to stop. I used to call myself a self-contained hurricane and not realizing it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Now I'm a bloody cat five and I am clearing the path around me unapologetically because that is who I am. And so whenever I hear people talk about stepping into the authenticity, like that's what life's about. We are here to be an individual. We are here to stand out. We are here to leave our impact. But
Yep.
society wants to strip of that so that people who don't matter are comfortable. So yes,
Yes,
you are a badass, Chris, and you should earn it. Because
I
there are
do.
people
Thank you.
that are 30 years older than you, 40 years older than you, that have never been able to walk a day as their authentic self.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fantastic. And truthfully, talking to you is part of my healing journey as well. So it's speaking of my story, getting it out
Mhm,
there because truthfully, other than my husband, not many people know exactly what I've been through. So
mhm.
yeah, it's
Well,
interesting. It's part of the healing.
thank you so much for coming. So, do you have anything to
Ah,
promote? Do you have any way to connect with you online?
I am in the process of my book. I sent over my manuscript just the other day, and I have a call here in a couple hours with my publisher. So it's still kind of new. I'm in that. Ooh, and I'm actually interested, and that's kind of how I found you, was I'm interested in podcasting. I've got my little studio started downstairs. So this is going to happen in the next probably 3 to 6 months. I've got a goal. And so, yeah, more to come on that because I'm going to advocate. I'm going to be able to be that person, and step into my next career because I've actually got another career other than my publishing of my book. I want to go nonprofit. I really want to help those that are survivors as well. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that. So before we wrap it all up, one key takeaway for the audience to action.
Well, don't wait as long as me, but it's never too late. It's really not. If you have somebody that's 10 years old, 30 years old, 80 years old, work on it, recognize it. Don't say, oh, it's too late. I've already been through all this or whatever. You don't know what's coming. So there is no age limit on this awakening. You can have it at your half century mark, right? You don't have to have it in your teens or 20s or 30s or anything. Just make sure you do that before. Do it at your half century mark if you have to, but it's been lifting to do this. It really has. It's really cleared a lot for me. So I say never too young.
Never too young. Christina, Chris, thank you so much for your time on Survival Made Disrupted. And I will just say this. I put out at the time of recording, I put out a post yesterday about preparing for this season. And Chris was like, I love it. And she is the first person off of that list to come in and share her story. So I love the energy behind you wanting to share, and I appreciate it. So thank you, Chris, for coming on Survival
Oh,
Made Disrupted. Audience, thank you for catching another episode. And I just want to remind you, you were not built to break, but you damn sure were not built to just survive, disrupt the cycle, reclaim your life, and thrive on your own terms. And I will see you next week. Once again, thank you for joining another episode of Survival Mode Disrupted, hosted by the Survival Mode Disruptor, Letitia. You didn't land here by accident. This conversation, it probably cracked something open on purpose. Because survival mode isn't just a phase, it's a pattern, an identity, a prison masked as strength. But here's the truth: you're not broken, you're just unfinished. So if something stirred in you today, don't ignore it, don't numb it, move with it. And I want to once again invite you to join Disrupting Survival Mode, the Facebook community where healing is loud and messy and real. I also want to invite you to buy my book, The Survival Mode Action Plan, because your breakthrough deserves a blueprint. And if you felt seen today, be sure to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Like, subscribe, and drop a review. That's how amplify the voices that need to be heard. And remember, this isn't about fixing yourself. This is about finding yourself again beneath the rubble. Until next time, choose ease, choose power, choose you. This is Survival Mode Disrupted. Let's keep shaking shit up.